I'm somebody who has spent a lifetime, longer than many of you have been alive, at least for the last 40 years now. I have been exploring and learning and traveling over the world, and I've made it my business to spend as much time as I can with spiritual masters and advanced thinkers and learners and teachers of various disciplines that include psychology. However, I never went and got a degree in psychology. I have thousands of hours of studying psychology, both on my own and with my wife, Dr. Azita Sayan, and through my own practices and studies in workshops and intensive. It's just that where I went, they don't give degrees, and I was never interested in having a degree in any particular discipline. I'm interested in accumulating as much knowledge and experience, and most of it I've thrown out already because I've taken it all the way to the end of its logical conclusions and found many of the psychological practices to have fallen short of a profound spiritual understanding of life. And so my approach is not so much one of psychological understanding, even though that is one of the tools in my tool belt and one of the things that I will that I will reflect upon and use in my conversations with you. My background is one of meditation and martial arts, neuro-linguistic programming, and a particular study that many of you may have heard of called ontology, which is the science and practice and study of beingness. Practicing and studying what would get quick and permanent results. I'm not so interested in change because people change, life changes, you're going to change, I change. And so what's really predictable is that regardless of your situation, it's going to change and get better or worse, but it will change. It's just nature. And so what I'm interested in is not so much changing, because changing happens. What I'm interested in is how to literally intentionally cause a rapid shift in perception such as your experience of the world is rapidly transformed. So you have a different experience of life, a different experience of yourself, a different perspective of what it is that is at the source of the conflict that you're experiencing, such that that conflict, instead of being a mountain, is a small matter that in fact has contributed to your life, has changed your life and caused you to grow. And that's why we call the company that I founded with my wife, Dr. Sayan, Embrace Growth. Embrace growth, because whatever life has given you as a challenge is actually for your growth and development and for your good. I believe, as many teachers do, is a good world, a good universe, a good God, whatever you want to call that spiritual force that influences our life. It is good, and whatever changes that are put in my path are for my good, for my development. Even if they may seem challenging or difficult at the time, my job is to remain humble and to use the gifts that I've been given to accept that challenge and to allow it to change me and grow me so that I can learn and develop and become more effective and powerful in my life. So that's what I'm here to share with you. The lines have already started to call, so I'm going to go ahead and answer some calls. But anyhow, I welcome you to Love Talk. My name is Gregory Morgan, and you are watching Love Talk. Hello, this is Gregory, and you're live on the air.
Hi, Mr. Morgan. I'm a great fan of your show. I love your show. I love your wife.
Thank you very much.
I truly enjoy your shows.
Excellent.
I have a question.
Okay.
It's not too complicated. I hope you can help me with it.
I'll do my best.
Passed away when I was 3.
Who did?
My father.
Okay.
I'm 19 years old right now.
Okay.
And my mother remarried, and I have a wonderful, cute little brother. He's 9 almost.
Yeah?
And he's reached an age that he is asking me questions about why is my last name different than yours, and we have a great relationship, but no one's really told him anything about us having separate fathers.
Okay.
So I don't know how to approach him because he asked me the question today again. You know, so do you think I should just let it go, or should I?
Oh, absolutely not. 9 years old is completely old enough to understand a simple concept like my father died and my mother married your dad.
I don't want a relationship to change because we're a happy family. I don't want anything to change.
Well, so you would rather have a false relationship based on a lack of truth? Because withholding the truth is the same as lying, and anything that you withhold and don't share, anything that you can't have out in the open, will run your life. It'll affect your life. And so to that precise extent, however big or small it is, your life will be about and around managing that thing. I don't care if it's a pebble in your shoe or a dinosaur in your living room. You know, if you can't talk about it and share about it and acknowledge it, you know, it's going to run your life. And in the case of a 9-year-old and a 19-year-old, you know, he's plenty old enough to deal with a simple concept like that. And if he's not mature enough, then that's kind of scary. He needs to grow up. Right? I mean, you're not going to do anybody any favors by overly protecting them from a simple truth.
Yes, you're right.
It wasn't your mom's fault he died. It wasn't your fault. I mean, you know, people die.
You're right.
Get over it. You know, people get born, they die, and you know, and then they fall in love again and marry other people. And if anything, it may make your relationship with him even more precious to you and to him. And you could tell him that.
All right, thank you for your help.
Yeah, just tell him the truth. He's 9 years old. That's old enough to deal with that. It's not like some awful secret or anything. Anyhow, you know, I don't know why your parents haven't told him.
I know exactly. So I'm going to take care of it. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thanks for asking.
Bye-bye.
Bye. That's interesting. Many of us are brought up to behave in ways that would seem to cancel out or revoke our right to be who we are. And so we grow up in families in which there are obvious truths, many times obvious, sometimes not so obvious, but nobody talks about that. You know, maybe the father's an alcoholic, or maybe whatever, right? You know, that's maybe a negative metaphor, but maybe there's some abusive language, maybe there's money problems, maybe there's whatever, right? And I understand a parents wanting to protect their children so that they have a happy childhood, but I also encourage you with your children and in your families to not play the game of, well, there's an elephant in the living room, but we're not going to talk about it. Everybody knows it's there anyhow. Try on not pretending, but actually acknowledging whatever's there, and see what an enormous freedom it will give you to just simply be who you are and deal with what you've got. You know, you've got something in your life that's uncomfortable, deal with that. Because I promise you, on the other side of those challenges come to us in life, and they have behind their back a gift for us, for our growing. But first you got to deal with the challenge. First you have to deal with your fear, then life can give you the gift, but not until then. So if you go around avoiding problems, avoiding confrontations, and avoiding anything that makes you uncomfortable or fearful, then what happens is your life gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and the area that you have to express yourself and be fully expressed becomes tinier and tinier and tinier. It's like when we come into the world as children, we are fully expressed. You ever seen a kid, how they're like completely out there and nothing can hold them back? And sometimes you wish that you could hold them back, but you can't. And over time, through programming and conditioning, they learn and find out, okay, I can't be that big and expressive. I better pull it in a little bit, and I better pull it in a little bit. And then, you know, you tell somebody how you really feel about something, and that didn't work out too good, so you pull it in a little bit more. And then you tell somebody the truth about how you really love them and you really care about them, and they reject you, so you pull that in a little bit more. So that in the beginning of life, it's like we've got this whole ocean of life to swim in, to explore, to express ourselves in, to find ourselves fully expressed in. And it's sort of this joyous thing. You know, you fall down, you get up, it's not a big deal. Then little by little, by the end of, or by most people, by the time they're in their 20s these days, it seems, 20s and 30s, you know, they have like a little teacup. You know, first it was an ocean, then it was like a lake, and then it was a swimming pool, then it was like a one of those little blow-up swimming pools, and then a bathtub, and then a teacup, and then a thimble. And a lot of people, by the time they're in their 40s or 50s, they have no self-expression whatsoever. They just walk around. They're like, you know, dead. They just haven't been buried yet. There's no life left in them whatsoever. And you see them. You know people like this in your life. You may be one of those people who simply don't feel anymore, or what they feel is so painful or so withheld that any natural self-expression of joyousness, of spontaneity, or sense of humor, even fully expressed anger or fully expressed love, or fully expressed fear or disappointment or sadness or grief. We don't express all of it. We simply withhold it and try to contain it, and eventually we don't know who we are anymore. And that's what I hear. So I acknowledge this 19-year-old gal who just called. I'm thrilled that you're watching my show, first of all, and that you're learning some of these principles that I have spent a lifetime learning at an early age in your life. That makes my heart feel good, because you will naturally integrate what is the truth in your life. The truth does not need believing. We recognize the truth when we hear it, and we are naturally drawn to it, and it doesn't require being believed. The truth just is what it is. And so if you find principles here in this show, or in my wife's show, Doña A.S., or wherever you find them, in whatever learnings that your life gives you, you'll recognize what's true and what's not if you just listen to your heart. Because if you listen to your mind, sometimes you'll get confused, because the mind is designed to look for problems. It's designed to look for anything that's going to challenge who you think you are, anything, your personality, your put together, conditioned way of being is an adaptation to life. It's an adaptation to the circumstances of your life, whether they be good or not so good. What we do is we say, oh, that doesn't work. So then we get a program in our mind that says, okay, don't do that again, right? Or do that harder, or do that more often, or do that, but don't let anyone know. So you learn this kind of conditioning. We learn to lie. We learn to tell the truth. We learn to be fully expressed. We learn to be suppressed. All of these are in response to a sort of survival mechanism that is our condition, what I call the conditioned mind, or the smaller self. Some people call it the ego. It's a valid name. The ego, it's a put together mask. It's a put together personality. The enlightened ones in some Eastern philosophy call it a caretaker personality. I have met people in which they have so cleared their being down to the essence of who they truly are, that they have hardly any personality at all. They are just being there, they're being present, and so they literally have what they call a caretaker personality, somebody that they have created for the outside world to interact with. Otherwise, they wouldn't have that much to say to you. They don't really care that much to speak and to interact, because they have kind of arrived at a spiritual place where emptiness is what they truly value. Probably never meet one of those people, and if you did, you wouldn't recognize them, because what they would be presenting to you would be a personality that they have created to have you feel more comfortable in their presence. I don't know how I got off down that track, because that's kind of like the far end of the other thing which we're calling ego, the thing that we're calling ego, which is the conditioned mind. Its job is to find problems, to watch out for and find anything that looks like it's a problem, and so it's designed for that. It is designed to foresee problems and react or respond to them or adjust your personality so that you can avoid them. That part of our being, that ego, that conditioned mind, will never, ever, ever, ever bring you happiness. Sorry, it's never going to happen. It will never bring you happiness. Now, you may experience pleasure, you may experience gratification, you may experience momentary lapses of pain or disappointment, but it will never actually bring you to a place of fulfillment and happiness and satisfaction and well-being, because it's not designed to do that. It's designed to keep you from danger. It's a protective device. It's a survival mechanism. So the ego it's not you. But more often than not, 95% of the people on the planet, I would guess, or probably more, think that they are their ego. In other words, if you ask them who they are, what will come out of their mouth will be a description of their conditioned mind given by their conditioned mind, describing what they see themselves as being, and that won't be who they are. That'll be the conditioned adaptation to life that they have created in order to survive and to avoid being dominated and to dominate others. So, you know, they'll say, watch out when people say, the kind of person I am is, or I'm just that kind of person, or I'm like that. That's always going to be the ego describing itself for your for your information. So it'll never be the part of the personality that's well, there's not a part of that personality that's designed to bring you happiness and fulfillment. It may seek happiness, it may seek fulfillment, it may say it's happy. It will not be the kind of everlasting, peaceful, self-fulfilling satisfaction that comes with actually coming to know who you truly are. When you come to know who you truly are, there's still challenges, but you don't avoid them. You go towards them. And so that's what this show's about, and that's why the lines are open, and I'm here to take your calls to assist you, really. Not to help you, because you're actually fully capable, and to say help means that you're not capable and I am. But the truth is, what I know from my own experience is that you're fully capable. And how I know that is, if I'm capable, then you must be. Because I'm nothing special. I'm somebody who has had the same challenges that you have. Maybe I've just had more of them. But I've come to find a way of managing my life in which it is constantly growing and developing and expanding. And so that's what I'm really here to share with you. Many people, I've heard a phrase many times in marriage counseling, you know, well, I love him, but I'm not in love with him. Or, yeah, I love her, but I'm not in love with her. Or I used to be in love with her, but now I'm not, but I still love her. So as you can imagine, there's a certain amount of confusion about what is love and what's not. Is it something that you're in? Is it something that you fall into? Or is it something that you grow into over time? What's the difference between that kind of love that's like a, you know, got all the body sensations and the crazy chemical feelings with it and the thrills, and that kind of love that is just a quiet, enduring, meaningful love that goes on and on for a lifetime, and for which many men and women would give anything to have, and some will never have, and some will only touch upon for a brief time. And then there are others who spend a lifetime together. What is the difference between all of those? That's what we're going to talk about. And how do you know, and how can you cause one to grow? Because the kind of love that we're talking about in Embrace Growth and in our seminars and workshops is the kind of love that is more like a verb. By a verb, I mean it is something that you do. It is an action that you take, whether you feel like it or not. It's an action that you take whenever, especially when you don't feel it. To love another person is to give them appreciation, to give them space, if you will, give them allowance, grant them being exactly the way they are, allow them to be exactly who they are and the way they are, not requiring them to behave in a particular way in order to earn your love, but simply love is a gift that you give unconditionally because it is an expression of who you are. And that kind of love grows the more you give it. It is not something that you run out of. It's not something that you get to the end of and say, well, I've given all my love and I don't have any more. That whatever that was when you say that sentence, it was not love. It was something, but it wasn't love. Maybe it was your well-being or your goodwill. Certainly you can run out of goodwill and you can run out of well-being. And I see this as particularly with, sometimes with parents, and certainly with people who marry and they expect their wife to be like their mother, or they expect their husband to be like their father. Often they will they'll just run out of steam, because that person who they married is their own person. That person who they married has their own unique wants and needs and desires and purposes and dreams to be fulfilled. And while they may resemble one of your parents, they simply aren't. And so a lot of times people run out of steam or run out of what they call love before they get to the end of the ride. So my lesson to them is always, the one who leaves the lesson before learning it is destined to repeat it. You leave a relationship before you learn the lesson, you're just going to get to do that relationship over again, usually with somebody not as good as the one you just left. I'm going to go ahead and take some calls. Hello, this is Gregory. You're live on the air.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I don't like living. I basically spend all my time in the sofa. That's where I sleep, that's where I eat, that's where I watch your program, and that's where I spend all day. And the sun comes up, I just get so disappointed. Basically, I get disappointed every day I wake up.
So you just wake up because you didn't die last night?
Sorry, I didn't get what you said.
I was making a little bit of a humor about your situation. Maybe you're not in a place where you can hear that.
Okay. Okay.
So you're getting up every day because you didn't die in the night?
That's right, yes, because I have to.
All right.
Yeah.
Where do you get the money to feed yourself and all that?
I basically live on basic.
Okay.
And there's lots of deadlines and lots of waits they need doing, but I just put them, keep them waiting and waiting to the last minute, and basically I just do whatever I have to do last minute.
What's, how long's that been going on?
For a few years actually, but it's getting worse. And for
well, how long ago?
2, 3 years.
2 or 3 years. What happened 2 or 3 years ago?
Nothing.
No. Wait. It's normal that you would step over that and pretend that nothing happened, but something actually did happen and you remember it.
I don't.
Yeah, you do.
Honestly, I don't.
Well, if you want to do that, then okay, there's not anything I can do to help you, because there is something that happened 2 or 3 years ago, and it reminded you of something that happened probably when you were very young.
Well, actually not. When I look back to 3 years ago, and there's nothing significant that I can.
Well, life was going along. Were you working? Were you married? Were you?
Yeah, there are no changes. Basically, life is, well, it's in a way, if you like, it's getting even better because I started doing my PhD.
You started doing your PhD?
Yeah.
When?
A couple of years ago.
Oh, so a couple of years ago you started doing a PhD. Was that a change in your life?
No, basically that's what I'm doing. That's what I've been doing. And the only difference is I'm doing it within the establishments of the university. It's not life-changing circumstances.
Well, something definitely happened. Either you lost some money, a job, something sexual happened to you, a relationship broke up, you moved, something happened in your life that changed.
Honestly, nothing. I'm just running out of steam. My petrol is going out. There's no more petrol is left.
All right. So what are you going to do about that?
I wish I knew.
Well, it doesn't take much to change this. Walking outside your door, throwing back the curtains in your house, going and cleaning up your house and taking a shower and putting on your best clothes and going outside, that would be a state change for you.
Yeah, I did it this morning. Well, not all of it, but I went out.
So it sounds to me like you're arguing for your limitations. Like, nothing bad happened to me, I just ran out of gas. And I just want you to know that it doesn't work that way, and I know it. That's not what happened. Something else happened, and there's always I've worked with thousands of people, and there is always a turning event. Now, maybe you were bummed out for 20 years, and then finally something tipped your scales that reminded you of why you were upset or bummed out or depressed. But something is always a tipping event. And if you're not willing to look at it, I mean, you know, I've only got a couple of minutes here on a phone call. I can't do therapy with you. But I'm willing to sit with you and ask you the questions that would need to be answered by you in order to get at what's the source of this.
Yeah.
You know, because if you don't get at the source of it, then there's no chance of turning, having a transformational experience that turns it around. Do you understand?
Yeah.
What are you getting your PhD in?
Performing arts.
Performing arts.
Yeah.
Done any performing lately?
Well, last time it was May, last May.
Last May, and what did you do?
Singing.
Singing.
Do you think there's something chemical going inside me?
How old are you?
I'm very old, nearly 35.
Pardon me?
I'm nearly 35, but I'm not young.
You're very old? You're 35? I was 35 22 years ago, okay? Give me a break.
I mean, for being a student, a mature student, I'm not a young
You're too old for maybe riding a tricycle or, you know, sitting on your daddy's lap, but that's about it. You're young. You're very young. Now, if you don't get off your couch and start doing something with your life, you probably won't live to be very old.
That's how I feel anyway.
Yeah. So something happened to you a couple of years ago and you started doing your PhD, but I can tell from talking to you there's something traumatic. It sounds like you're on drugs.
No, I never take drugs.
You're on mood altering drugs?
Only aspirin.
Only aspirin.
When I've got...
Only aspirin?
Yes, when I've got...
Yeah, your speech pattern tells me something different.
Well, I don't know about my speech pattern, but I know that I don't take drugs, I don't drink, I only breathe.
You just breathe. Well, it sounds like you need to breathe some fresh air. Where are you? I mean, what part of the world are you in?
I'm in UK.
You're in the UK?
Yeah.
So it's not too cold out there yet, is it?
Well, it is cold. It's been turning cold, yeah.
Yeah. You need to go outside and get some fresh air, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
You need to go out and get some fresh air. And do you have any friends? I couldn't get a clear yes or no out of that.
Yes, I've got friends, but not type of friends that I can visit when I'm like this.
Do you have friends that can come and meet you for coffee or something like that?
No, because their lifestyle are different to mine.
Okay, well, you need to get some friends. What do you want to do about this? Because what I'm doing all the work here, but I'm not the one that's depressed and, you know, living in a dark room and staying on the couch all day. So I don't need to do anything about this. You do. So what are you going to do about it?
I wish I knew.
You wish you knew? Well, who should I ask? Who's in charge? Can I please speak to the person in charge of your life?
I don't think anybody's there.
Yeah, well, that's a victim answer, and I have very little patience for victims. Because victims are avoiding being responsible for their life. Victims are blaming somebody else for everything. Who are you blaming?
No one.
Yeah, sounds just like the rest of what you're telling me.
No, honestly, I'm just run out with steam.
People don't just run out of steam. People don't just run out of steam. Something happens, and you're not willing to talk about it, and I understand that. But if you're not willing to confront what it is and you're not willing to ask yourself, what am I going to do about this, then there's very little that I can do for you. I can keep asking the questions, but it's kind of a waste of your time and mine and everybody that's watching the show, right? I mean, either you're going to step up and be responsible for your life, or are you going to lay around on the couch and be a victim and say, oh, I ran out of steam?
Trying to find out.
I acknowledge that you've at least turned on a television, you know, and picked up the phone and made a call.
Yeah, there's nothing
right?
I can find.
But listen, if you're drowning out in the ocean and somebody throws you a line and you go, You got to at least pick it up. You got to at least pick up the line if you want to get in the boat. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay, then. Thank you very much.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. I never know quite what to say to somebody who is that far gone. Personally, I don't really buy it. I've been extremely depressed in my life, but if somebody had the decency to ask me a few questions, I would at least struggle to come up with some answers other than, I don't know, I'm just dead, I'm gonna die now, you know, I don't know what I'm gonna do. You definitely need some therapy and you need some help, and I hope that you will put on your clothes, pick up the phone, and call somebody who can actually help you. I can't help you sitting here on a television show in another continent if you're not willing to help yourself. If you want to set up an appointment with myself or my wife, you know, we'll spend a couple of hours with you and get to the source of this. But you're going to do all the work. You know, you can't expect somebody else to, you know, jump into the mire with you and pull you up out of it, because that's not going to happen. Anybody that does that's a fool. You need to be able to pull, you need to be able to pull yourself up and take responsibility for your life, because you and you alone are responsible for your life. Hello, this is Gregory, and you're live on the air.
Hi, Gregory. This is Matt. I'm calling from Florida, and just want to know about depression. What do you call depression, basically?
Well, there's the clinical description, and I would recommend that you look that up. I am not a psychologist. I'm not a psychotherapist. The clinical depression is the loss of all will never mind what the books say it is. I'm going to tell you what I think it is. I think that's more what you're interested in, isn't it? I'm not going to tell you what the clinical description of depression is. I'm going to tell you what I know it to be from my own experience. And from my experience, people are always responding to, at every moment in their life, like right now, right now, right now, right now, we're always responding to the future that we see directly ahead of us. In other words, if you were here in the room with me and I picked up this pen and threw it at you, you would immediately make some kind of a gesture to relate to that incoming object. You wouldn't think about it, it would be automatic, it would just be happening, and you would be a part of it. The pen would be coming and you would be responding to it. People are always responding to the future that they see immediately coming at them. So I'm talking about the distinction between long-term future, like what you think might happen 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 5 days from now, 5 minutes from now, 5 seconds from now, okay? We're always responding to the future that we are imagining is going to happen, because no matter what you say, there is no future. There's only what you imagine is going to happen. That is part of the cerebral cortex. That is what we do as human beings. That's what separates us from all of the other animals on the planet, aside from our thumbs and a few other things, speech, is our ability to look out into the future, imagine what's going to happen by extrapolating all of the stuff that we've encountered and comprehended, and then putting it together in such a way that we can anticipate about what's going to happen. We're always responding to that. Now, you asked me what depression is. Depression is when you see more of the past, particularly if the past was traumatic, upsetting, violent, abusive, something like that. If you see more of that out in your future, if you imagine that has happened in the past is going to happen again, then you can't do anything about that, really. All you can do is think about it, then you have some feelings about it. Now, you can take some actions. For example, if you got beat up as a kid, I don't know, got pushed around, you could go take some martial art classes and get ready for that time when eventually you're going to get beat up. And maybe in the process of studying these martial arts, you would learn some other things, and you would get some self-confidence and some self-respect, and you'd stop worrying so much about the future, kind of as a side effect of practicing discipline and rigor and being active in your life. What depression is, I'm finally getting to that part. You asked me what I think it is. In neurolinguistics and also in Silva Mind Control and Dynamics, Mind Dynamics, they talk about the stages of being, and one is feel, think, act. Feel, think, act. Feel, think, act. Feel, think, act, right? So that's actually how anything in the whole world has ever happened. If you look around at all the things that human beings have done, they were first sort of a feeling, then they became a thought, then they became an action. And in human beings, speaking or talking is an action, or you might draw a picture, or you might build something. But nonetheless, every weapon, every tool, every telephone, every piece of paper, every tie, every freaking thing that you have ever seen was first a feeling, a thought, then it took some action in the outside world. Action is the bridge between the inner world, feeling and thinking, and the outer world, results, objects and things happening, events. So depression is when you feel, think, feel, think, feel, think, feel, think, but you don't do anything about it. You do nothing, like sit on the couch and do nothing and feel sorry for yourself. Oh, feel, think, feel, think. So you think maybe you should do something about it, but then you feel like, oh, that's not going to work. So then you think, well, maybe, but then no. And so that's just depressing. It's just, I get depressed talking about it, and I'm sure it's depressing for you to even hear about it. But depression is a cycle of feeling and thinking with no action, no appropriate action. There's always an action that could end the cycle of feeling and thinking, or cause the feeling and thinking to have a physical, manifested result such that it moves you from feeling and thinking and depression into action in the outside world. You want to be happy? Take action. You want to be fulfilled? Take action. You want to cause something to happen in your life? Take action. You're depressed and feel like my life has no meaning? Take some action. Go help somebody. Go do something in your life. I don't care what. Clean the glove compartment out in your car. Go clean up your drawers. Clean up your closets. Wash your clothes. Wipe the table off. Wash the dishes. Call a friend and say, let's go drink coffee, or whatever. Take an action. And when you find yourself in action, when you're actually doing something, you will be a different person. Being is given by doing, not by thinking and feeling. Thinking and feeling is just thinking and feeling. It's all internal, and it's all intended by nature's design to cause you to get into action. You have feelings and emotions, and those are emotion. The word emotion means energy in motion. Energy in motion, right? So you have a feeling, it turns into an emotion, energy in motion. That energy in motion can be thoughts. Wow, I should do this. Then you say it. Speaking is an action. Speaking is an action. So you say, I'm going to do this, or let's do that, or what if I did this? So those are all words which are actions. Then you physically get your body to go do it, or you get somebody to do it with you, or whatever. But that's when your innermost feelings and thoughts become manifested in the physical world. So when you're seeing that nothing is changing in the physical world, and all you're doing is having feelings and thoughts, that is depression. Whatever the classical psychological definitions, you can look that up easily. Google it. Clinical depression, just Google it. And you can read pages and pages and pages of what people who have studied psychology will tell you about it, or you can simply look in your own life and see what it is. How I've learned about depression is not about reading about clinical depression, although when I was in the phase of my life where I was studying psychology, the more I would read about clinical depression, the more I would become convinced that, wow, I'm really depressed. So I quit reading about it because it was depressing. Hello, this is Gregory, and you're live on the air.
Yes, Gregory, you're live on the air.
Whoa, turn down your TV.
Thank you for the right answer. about depression.
Yeah.
And, out of all those experience with the doctors and all these things, your experience is wonderful, and you had the exact right answer for me. I was just going to call and say thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you. You're the guy that asked the question. Thank you very much. Thanks for your question. Thanks for watching my show. I hope that helped.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you. Hello, this is Gregory, and you're live on the air. Hello.
Sir, how are you?
How are you, sir?
Okay.
What can I do for you?
I'm calling for my wife.
Okay.
She doesn't speak English well.
Okay.
She's been in this country for almost a year.
Yeah.
And she's having a huge problem. She can't learn anything. She's very unhappy here. We're trying everything to make her happy, but nothing makes her happy. So I don't know what to do with her.
Is it your first year of marriage?
No, we've been married for 4 years.
And did you live in Iran before?
We lived in Iran at the same time we lived in Dubai, and then we came here. We've been here for a year.
Here is the United States?
Yes.
Okay.
And she's going to school, trying to learn to speak English and trying everything, but she's very unhappy.
Well, you want to be gentle with her. She's, people have a misunderstanding about life, and I hope that you will tell her, translate all this for me. Life isn't so.
Okay,
life.
You can turn it up.
Yeah, life will give you challenges, and those challenges don't necessarily make you happy. Okay.
Right.
In other words, people have this misunderstanding that they're supposed to be happy all the time. A life without challenges is not a happy life.
Exactly.
All
That's
right?
what I tell her.
So the idea is she needs to kind of, and I don't mean this in any disrespectful way, but she needs to kind of grow up, like
she needs to grow up.
yeah,
That's what I tell her sometimes.
face the challenges of life with courage, with good energy. Life doesn't care whether you like it or not. Life is just doing what life's doing, right? Now, that she may be happier in one country than she is in another, okay, I can understand that.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean that she needs to stay in a place where that makes her really unhappy. There's countries that if I went and lived there, I would be very unhappy. Let's face it.
Right.
Okay?
She's having a hard time learning. That's her big issue.
Okay, well, that is going to be there anyhow. There's some people, I've been married to an Iranian woman. I've been with her for 12 years. I still can't speak Farsi. I can't learn it. I can speak Spanish. I can speak Italian. I can speak French fluently, and I'm halfway decent at English. But Farsi, I cannot get Farsi. I'm just like, I forget it. I learn it one day, and the next day it's gone.
Yes.
But I'm not depressed about it. I'm not going to get all upset about it. I just wish I could learn it.
Yes.
And if I moved to a country where they all spoke Farsi, I'm sure I'd learn it.
But the thing is, when we were living in Iran, she was very happy. She was doing everything herself. She had a life. Versus here, she's at home. She goes to class, and she comes home. She's all just doesn't want to. She don't want to do anything. She's just depressed. That's the big issue. She don't want to do anything.
I got it. Well, we talked about depression already, so I'm not going to talk about that anymore. Okay.
Right.
But except to say, there was one thing that occurred to me during the commercial break, and I wanted to clarify something for my audience. So I'll take this opportunity to do that.
Right.
If you were to read the description of clinical depression, what I discovered when I was studying this was that anybody you meet would have some, if not all, of the symptoms described in the description of clinical depression.
Yes.
That's why when I was reading it, I would start getting depressed. And I would start telling people, I think I'm depressed. Because the book says you have all these symptoms, and I got that, right? This depression thing we had, what she is that the future that she sees out ahead of her doesn't look so bright.
Yes.
You got that?
Yes.
It looks like, oh my God, my life is over. As my going out to the market and getting vegetables or whatever it was that gave her pleasure, her little daily things that she did, going and taking classes, spending time with friends, being in familiar places with family and friends, she probably sees that as being over, like a small death.
Exactly.
Do you see? And so there will take some participation and work on your part as well as with her to begin to create a future that looks a little brighter. Yes?
Yes, I will try.
Yeah, we need to create a future that in which there's some hope and a plan on how to get there.
Yes.
Right? And how you know that you love yourself, and by the way, how you know you love another, is by the promises that you're willing to make and keep. So, you know, if you say, I promise that we will go back to visit your family once a year, you got to keep that.
Of course.
Right? And you got to put it in your budget and in your plan and buy the tickets and make the reservations or whatever you got to do to make sure that that's actually going to be fulfilled. Then she will have a future to live into, right?
Yes.
Like if I told you at the end of the week, you're going to get $5 million and we're going to fly you to some place and, you know, here's the contract, it's a done deal. Your world would change, right?
Of course.
You'd have a molecular shift on a molecular level, on a physical level. Your whole being would shift. Your attitude, everything about you would suddenly change, and it would be like that. The same is true for your wife. If, you know, maybe you're not going to give her $5 million at the end of the week, but the same is always true for all human beings. What we see out ahead of us in the future gives us how we're being right now in the present. What's amazing about us as human beings is that we have, they call us Homo sapien. Sapien means awareness or knowing, right? Homo sapiens have the ability to be aware, and we are aware that we're aware. We can become aware of our own awareness, yes?
Yes.
Just as soon as I said that, you became aware of your awareness. So simply by saying it, it becomes so. Well, that's a miraculous thing that we have. We have the ability to use our awareness to project negative things into the future, or we can project positive things into the future and actually plan to make them happen and put things in place so that they actually will be inevitable.
Yes.
Do you see? And
I understand.
so I'm recommending that with your wife, you find out what is it that she really wants that would be happy and fulfilling that you can do, right? That you can fulfill on, and then make promises and plans with her so that those things get fulfilled. And as far as her learning and things like that, she's going to have to do it. If she's going to live here, she's going to need to learn some things, and she should be encouraged to learn them at her own time and at her own pace and like that.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, and let me know how that turns out, okay?
Appreciate it.
All right, you bet.
Very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, I got a bunch of calls. I'm going to keep going. Hello, this is Gregory, and you're live on the air.
Good evening, Dr. Morgan. My
Mr.
question is about my husband.
Okay.
That he gets mad very easily, and then I cannot do anything about it. He's like using bad languages, curses, and he has that problem since ever I know her.
I know. There's nothing that you personally can do about that, okay? And it's not your fault. So if there's anything that you think, or that if he's even told you that it's your fault, it's not. I can tell you that.
Well,
he was angry
that, when he
was angry
gets mad and gets all the anger out, he regretted. The thing is, he already hurt my feeling.
Yes, yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem, and then there'll come a day when you can't take it anymore, and then he'll really regret it. I'm gonna tell you something that it's gonna seem like I'm promoting my own self-interest, but I promise you it's because I want to live in a better world just like you do. So here's my recommendation, okay?
Okay.
I have come to the realization that some of the challenges that I've faced in my life, one of them being intense anger and upset. I've been married before I was married to Dr. Sayan. I was married before. And I've lost my relationships partially because of my intense anger, my inability to deal with things without being very, very angry. And I've been able to heal that from myself, but not without a lot of help. And in the process, I learned a lot of things that I'd like to share with other men, and I'm able to do that. One weekend workshop, both the men's workshop and the women's workshop, that is the essence of all that we've been teaching. It will save you and him years of therapy, years of, it may save you getting a divorce, and in some cases maybe even save the man from going to jail, okay, depending on how mad he gets. But I can tell you that we are going to address the fundamental issues that men and women address in their lives. The Men's Only Workshop, which is the one I'm recommending for your husband, will teach him about living a life of honor and integrity and mastery, being able to master your life. A master is someone who can be relied upon in all circumstances, at all times, at any time, to respond with integrity and honor and dignity in that situation. To be able to master that ability, and I plan to be able to teach men this in a very short, condensed, intense weekend that's about the price of a therapy session with myself and my wife, okay?
Doctor, do you think one time would be enough? I mean, would solve the problem?
I'm not going to guarantee that if somebody has an emotional problem or a traumatic problem that is at the root of this, that you're going to heal it in one workshop. But I'm going to give you the tools to be able to master and give him the tools to be able to master responding with honor and integrity. Now I can tell you that your husband, if he's acting that way, probably had a traumatic experience early in his life, and he's very, very upset about it.
Yes, that's true.
And so it's not your fault, hon. It was there before you ever came along. However, your part in it has to do with what is it about you that would choose a man like that, because that's no accident. Remember earlier in the show I said every challenge in your life has a gift behind its back? Were you watching the show when I said that?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, so there's a gift in this for you, okay? And there's a gift in this challenge for him as well. I can promise you that once you overcome the challenge, you will have a gift that is rare and precious and that is worth the struggle. That gives all of it meaning and depth, and it's more than I can go into on a telephone call, okay? But it's a promise that I am publicly making that on the other side of this challenge, there's a gift for you. And the best way that we've found to do that is by giving seminars and workshops, because we move people through these spaces in a very prolonged and intensive and private and supportive environment. And we have the use of audio and visual and other technologies other than just let's talk on the phone or sitting in an office. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And the truth is that in a therapy session, even if it's a 2-hour or 3-hour or 4-hour therapy session, there's some point at which you have to get up and go home.
Right.
And so in a workshop where I have you from early in the morning till late at night, and then the next morning till late at night again that next day, I can get a lot of things changed. Do you see what I'm saying? We can move forward very quickly with a human life, and what comes out the other end will never be the same. So people come into our workshops, they go out, they're somebody different. And that's why we do the workshops, because if I had my way, they'd be 4 days long, but most people can't take off work that long. You know, if I had my way, we'd have a 4-day workshop so that the entire thing could get handled. As it is, we'll do 2-day workshop, and then a couple of months later we do another 2 or 3-day workshop so that people can move along, because sometimes it's more than people can change all at once. You know, they got to change and then go back into their life, work with things, new things come up, and then they come back to another workshop or intensive in which we deal with that now. Okay. At the next level. So that's my recommendation. And listen, if he'd like to talk to another man and deal with the things, I am a trauma release specialist. I'm a practitioner. I'm a certified practitioner of energetic trauma release. Trauma is stored in the central nervous system and in the muscles and tissues in the body. And so it doesn't even go through a thought process. You understand? When he gets angry, his nervous system, which is irritated already, is just reacting. It's reacting to something, and it's not you that it's reacting to. It's reacting to a stimulus that happened a long time ago that's never been neutralized.
That's right.
And so we address that in private therapy sessions. I clear that from people so that it never comes up again. It's not that the stimulus doesn't come up again, the reaction doesn't come up. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's like you push the button, but it doesn't, the alarm doesn't go off.
Okay.
You got that?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, you say something, it pushes a button for him, and he goes, bah, right? So if you just take the juice out of that and neutralize it, then you can push the button, but it just doesn't go, ah, anymore. It doesn't
Okay,
explode.
I'll go to your website and set up the...
Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I hope this helped. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, I've got time for maybe one more call, a quick call, and then I got to go. Hello, this is Gregory. You're live on the air with Love Talk.
Hi. Thank you for your talk show. I have a problem with my daughter. I don't know if I could call it problem, but issue that is not solving for a long period of the time. She's 17, and always I had the issue that she always work at the exact time to reach at the exact time to the school. Like if her school is 7:20, she is going to be reaching 7:19 at the school. So that way.
Right. So your problem is with your daughter's being late?
Yes, and she is, let me tell you, her personality, that she is really responsible, and I know that when I talk to her, she listens, and for a few days she is following what I told her, how she should do it 10 minutes ahead of time, all this.
There's no, I'm going to give you the short answer, but there really doesn't need to be much elaboration on this anyhow, okay?
Sure.
She continues the behavior that she has because there is no consequences for her behavior. There's no consequences.
Yeah.
That's all. If there were consequences, then she could choose to either have the consequences or not. But there's no consequences whatsoever. She's late, no big deal. You and her teachers and everybody else that know her have taught her, have trained her, have shown her again and again and again and again and again and again that the only thing that's going to happen if she's late is somebody's going to talk to her. Blah, blah, blah. And she's used to that.
I don't think it's the teacher problem, it's our problem. And
Well, whoever's teaching her. In your case, it's you because you're the one that's suffering. She's not suffering at all, by the way.
Right.
She doesn't care.
She does for a few days, and then she go back to the normal.
No, she pretends she cares to satisfy you.
Yes.
That's the dues she pays. So what you've taught her is that if she's late, you're going to go blah, blah, blah. She's going to say, oh, I feel so bad about it. And then she's going to keep doing the same behavior, and you're going to go blah, 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 and she's going to go blah, blah, blah. And that's all that's ever going to happen. Nothing else. Nothing like you're going to lose your cell phone, or you're going to lose your car, or you're going to lose your allowance.
Should I do these things? I mean,
Well, that's a consequence, isn't it? At least there's a consequence. There's some result that you can see in the physical world. See, blah, blah is nothing. They don't care about that. And she's proved it to you many times. And you've proved to her that that's all you're ever going to do anyhow.
But I think, I don't know, maybe I'm thinking wrong, but I thought that in negative way of teaching is not the right way to teach.
Well, that is a mistake that was made back in the 60s by a particular doctor who wrote a thesis that everybody bought into, that if you shame your children or if you teach them in a negative way, that it will harm them in some way. And I'm here to tell you, as a person who I consider to be, and many people consider to be, a successful, balanced human being, that without shame, there is no honor. Think about that. We live in a dualistic world. Good, bad, right, wrong, up, down, left, right, honor, shame. Okay? No shame, no honor. So if you don't use shame, then nobody will ever develop honor, because it's only the opposite. Do you see?
Yes.
You keep wanting them to have, oh, honor, 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 but then they act shamefully. But you don't say, well, that's shameful. Here's the punishment for that. Here's the consequences of your shameful act. I'm taking your cell phone and I'm flushing it down the toilet. Now, do you want to be late some more? Oh, you do? Okay, great. Here's your car keys. Now, you want to walk to work or walk to school? Now you've got to leave earlier. Oh, you're still late? Okay, great. No more allowance. Now what are you going to do? Oh, no more computer. Okay? You just keep taking away until the consequences are big enough that they change the behavior. Simple as that. Nobody ever wants to do that. They want to complain about it. They think there's some magic pill or some words that you could say, but there's not. There's no consequences to her actions that are unacceptable. You're more attached to her having a cell phone and a computer and some money and a car and all that. But if you start taking those things away, she'll change her behavior, okay?
Sure, thank you.
I'm out of time. I hope this helps, and I hope you do it. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, I'll see you here next week on Love Talk.
خانم دکتر آزیتا سایان با بیش از 3 دهه تحقیق به روی رابطه، طرز تفکر، احساسات و درک حقیقی صحبت‌های مردان و زنان، سمینارها و کارگاه‌های کثیری را طراحی کرده است. زن دلخواه مردان، سمیناری جذاب و شیرین با مطالبی که هرگز نشنیده اید. آنچه شما در مورد مردان، زنان و رابطه نمی‌دانید. زن دلخواه مردان توسط خانم دکتر آزیتا سایان در 5 شهر جهان: ونکوور 13 ژانویه، لس آنجلس 21 ژانویه، لندن 27 ژانویه، روتردام 2 فوریه و تورنتو 12 مارچ. بلیط‌های خود را همکنون از اپلیکیشن و یا وبسایت Embrace Growth تهیه کنید و یا با شماره 310 460 2600 تماس بگیرید. در کارگاه‌های آموزشی بانوان به رهبری دکتر آزیتا سایان با دستیابی به اهمیت و ارزش واقعی خود، قدرت زنانگی و آرامش خود را بازیابید. ایروان ارمنستان 7 تا 9 فوریه، لس آنجلس 22 تا 24 فوریه، تورنتو 15 تا 17 مارچ و همبورگ 26 تا 28 آپریل. 310 460 2600. از این پس برنامه دنیای عشق رو از جم USA روزهای جمعه 9 شب، شنبه 11:30 شب، یک شنبه 1:30 ظهر و دوشنبه 8:30 صبح به وقت لس آنجلس دنبال کنید. خانم دکتر آزیتا سایان در برنامه دنیای عشق جوابگوی سوالات شما هستند و به مباحث مهمی همچون ازدواج، تربیت فرزندان، افسردگی، طلاق، سکس، همجنسگرایی، خیانت و هزاران موضوع متنوع دیگر می‌پردازند. برای اطلاعات بیشتر از برنامه‌ها، سمینارها و کارگاه‌های خانم دکتر آزیتا سایان با شماره 310 460 2600 تماس بگیرید و یا از اپلیکیشن و یا وبسایت Embrace Growth دیدن کنید. یک مرد منحصر به فرد، مسلط، متمرکز، قابل اعتماد و رضایتمند باشید. کارگاه شرافت، عزت کلام و مهارت به رهبری دکتر آزیتا سایان. تورنتو 21 تا 23 سپتامبر، همبورگ 19 تا 21 اکتبر، ایروان ارمنستان 15 تا 17 آگوست، لس آنجلس 2 تا 4 نوامبر. 310 460 2600. اپلیکیشن Embrace Growth همکنون در اپ استور. با ساختن اکانت شخصی شما می توانید پروفایل خود را مدیریت و زبان مورد نظر خود را بین فارسی و انگلیسی انتخاب کنید. وقت مشاوره خود را رزرو نمایید. محصولات از جمله CD، DVD و کتاب‌ها را خریداری و دانلود نمایید و یا برای کارگاه‌ها و سمینارها نام‌نویسی کنید. همچنین شما می توانید به برنامه‌های تلویزیونی و رادیویی دکتر سایان و یا آقای مورگن به صورت رایگان دسترسی داشته باشید. اپلیکیشن Embrace Growth را امروز از اپ استور دانلود کنید.